Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Roundtable with Jacked and Canned. John, I don't feel like I need to ask you how you're doing tonight because we literally just finished recording our other episode for the week.
I'm doing great because I'm kicking it off myself with Who's on Top. Ladies and gents, kicking it off here with the NHL standings. All right, here we go. Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division. Lightning sitting on top over there. The Metropolitan Division, the Hurricanes sitting on top. The Rangers right in the hunt. Right in the hunt. Colbs, the Bruins are still making a little bit of noise. Central Division, the Predators. We got the Pacific Division. We got the Golden Knights sitting on top. And Colb's honorable mention. I know I didn't list anybody wins, losses, OTLs, points, because you know what? It's a little too complicated for me tonight. I didn't want to do it. That's who's on top. That's it. Who's in last place, Colbs, in the NHL Pacific Division? Who is it?
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it's the Seattle Kraken.
Seattle Kraken, baby, getting it done. Come on. Here we go. Seattle Kraken sitting in last place. They are holding it down for us. So thank you very much, NHL.
Seems like an odd energy for what you just said. You made it sound like they're doing something really good by being bad.
No. They're doing good. They're doing good.
At what?
I think they're turning it around. I think they're getting there.
What evidence do you have of that?
Well, they're on a 7-game losing streak.
Yep.
But they're getting there. I could just tell. You could just tell when a team is getting there. It's kind of like the Lions. They got there at the last game of the season. They gave it to Green Bay. They said, you know what, Green Bay, take it. Kraken, they're going to pull an upset on somebody, and they're going to say, you know what, team, take it. That's what's going to happen.
You know that Aaron Rodgers had to feel so happy watching that game from the sideline, watching the guy that they drafted or to be his replacement essentially come out there and lost to the Lions. I mean, dude, he has to feel so cool.
He does. Not as cool as this cat. Nobody's as cool as that cat right there. That's all I got to say about that. So if you're not on YouTube, ladies and gents, go ahead and check us out at Jacked and Canned on YouTube. Actually, if you type Colbs, pretty cool moment here in Jacked and Canned history. If you just type in Jacked and Canned on Google.
You don't have to type at Jacked and Canned to get to us. That's just like what our Twitter handle is and things like that.
That is, if you do, yeah, you don't have to do at, I don't know, whatever. Tag us in something, I don't know. Freaky deaky, I don't know how it works. But if you type in Jacked and Canned on Google, we are the #1 hit. We're the #1 page that pops up. Thank God.
Yeah, John, we have been since like the middle of last year.
That's all I got to say about that right there. Okay, that's a mic drop right there. Holding down a beer, holding down a flower pot. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but that's a little mic drop. Boom! Anyways, ladies and gents, kicking it over here to the NBA. Eastern Conference, Colbs. This is getting a little bit more interesting. Who's not on top? The Magic, the Pistons, the Pacers, the Hawks, and the Knicks. All right, a little different. I know that's a little different. Who is on top? The Bulls, 27-12. The Nets, 26-14. Heat, 26-15. Bucks, 26-17. 76ers, 23-17. Cavs, 24-18. In the Western Conference, we got the Suns sitting on top, 31-9. Warriors, 30-10. Grizzlies, 29-14. The Jazz, 28-14. The Mavs, row. And the Nuggets, 20-19. Colbs, the Lakers, the mean Lakers, who's going to give it to you, kind of like the Seattle Kraken. They're going to show up. I know they're sitting in the 8th seed, but they're going to show up and they're going to give it to you. That's a
just
new
lost
slogan.
Last night to the Kings.
All right, never mind. The Lakers are sitting over there. They're trying. Colbs, every week I ask you because I don't know what the hell's going on. What the hell's going on?
I mean, Malik Monk has come along and has actually been a pretty consistent three-point shooter for us lately, which has been really cool to watch. But, I mean, it's basically the LeBron show. It's just LeBron throwing up 36 points a night, and Malik Monk's putting up like 22. Russell Westbrook's putting up like 9. Melo occasionally will give you 15 here and there, but for the most part, it's, 9. And everybody else is putting up like a solid 5 or 6.
Well, Not bad. Well, I'm hopeful that they're going to turn it around. That's all I could say about that. All right, NFL playoffs. Here we go. NFL, Colts. It's a wild one. The NFL regular season is over. Can we get a cheers?
We can, sir. We can cheers
Cheers
to
to
the end
that.
of the NFL regular season. Speaking of John, my pick'em league, I
Yeah.
had told you that I probably wasn't going to come back and win that one. But here's the thing: I got 2 games closer. I'm now down just 2 games in it, and evidently the playoffs also count towards it. So I still have a chance.
Hey, there we go. I like it. I like it. So, talking about the playoffs here, we get the NFL wild card round. Colts, the Raiders versus the Bengals on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday here at 4:30. We got the Eagles at the Bucks, the 1 o'clock game on Sunday. We got the Steelers at the Chiefs, one of the primetime games on Sunday Night Football. Yes, at 8:15. We got on Saturday at 8:15. We got the Pats at the Bills. We have on Sunday the 49ers at the Cowboys. And on Monday, Colbs, I didn't even realize there was a Monday night game. I thought they were all going to be on Saturday and Sunday. However, I was wrong. Monday, the Cardinals in the Rams, 8:15. Those are some freaking good games. Colbs, before I kick it over to you, uh, are we going to go ahead and give predictions on all these games? I hope we are. I hope we're picking
Yeah,
them all.
we're gonna do that in lieu of I'm not gonna do the I mean, we can talk about the spreads if we want, but I wait till game day, the morning of game day, to pick playoff games because you never
Okay.
know what's gonna change in between. Spreads can vary. I'm not gonna give the picks like I typically would. So
Just for fun.
in lieu of that, when we get to when we would usually be making the picks, we will talk a little bit about all the games. I can break down for you what the spreads are, but I am not necessarily doing what I would typically do this week.
I'm with you, Colbs. So I'm excited. And I just have to say this. Is Saturday like a new day for the NFL? Has this
There's
season,
always been playoff games on Saturdays.
hear me out though. There was a lot of regular season games on Saturdays as well, right? So
Usually the last 2 or 3 weeks of the NFL regular season.
I feel like there was a couple more weeks in between. They had Saturdays and Tuesdays because of COVID and everything.
Well, I
So
was going to say the Tuesday and Wednesday games, that's all COVID.
I'm wondering though, would the NFL kind of pivot there because people love football so much and try to take advantage of more regular season games next season, put them on a Saturday, a Sunday, a Monday, and maybe that spot Tuesday. We all know about Thursday night football, right? But I could kind of see more Saturdays being used in there. That's just my opinion. And not to mention Christmas. Wasn't this past season like one of the first times the NFL played games on Christmas Day? That was always the NBA day.
Yeah, I mean, typically it happens every 7 years when Sunday falls on Christmas.
Now, here's the deal, though. I'm wondering if the NFL is like, you know what? The NBA, yeah, we get it. Like, the NBA has always owned Christmas Day. It's always been huge. People just sit there and binge watch NBA from game number one all the way to the end of the night from the West Coast, right? So I'm wondering if NFL's like, you know what? Might be able to capitalize on this market and take some of this market share here from whatever it might be. I think they got something good if they go ahead and play on Christmas Day. It's kind of like Thanksgiving. Just saying.
I mean, I don't think you're going to see them making a Wednesday Christmas football the like
Okay.
setup. I don't think
All
we're
right.
ever going to see that. I can see it when it's going to be on the weekends, but honestly, the NFL's doing just fine as far as what their numbers are from people watching them, streaming them, whatever the case may be. They don't need to compete because they're already the winners. No,
No,
nobody's
you don't
beating
have
them.
to compete. It's just people love football so much. And I think that's why USFL, XFL, that they know there's a market for it because I think if football was played year round, people would watch it. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. But
You
I
know,
don't think that the NFL gains anything by making sure that they put games on Christmas Day. I think that that's just something that's
interesting.
going to happen when it falls on a weekend. Otherwise, there's really no purpose to doing it.
I was curious what your thoughts were. So that's where I was at with that. It would be cool, a little Christmas present to see some NFL games. Colbs, what do you got?
We're going to go to the power rankings for the end of the season. This is where the teams have fallen into place at the end of the year. I do not do the same thing that the NFL.com writers do, as well as the ESPN writers. They do this thing every year, John, where it's usually 12, but now that we have the expanded playoffs, 14 teams that make the playoffs, they make sure that all the playoff teams are part of they are all the top 14. I'm telling you right now, Pittsburgh's not a top 14 team in the NFL. So for me, Pittsburgh was not part of this list. And as far as the top 10 is concerned, we're going to be obviously then missing some other playoff teams. I also don't have the Eagles in the top 14. I have them at 15. But we will start at number 10 with the New England Patriots. So, end of the season, I know that they lost to Miami, but one thing, even when Tom Brady was the quarterback for the New England Patriots, they actually really struggled to go down to Miami at the end of the year and win games. I don't know what it is. There was a 1-15 Dolphins team a couple years back that actually beat the Pats. Their one win was at the end of a game. They had one of those miraculous lateral plays where they got into the end zone and beat the Pats then. And that was years ago with Brady in there. So I'm not too concerned about that particular loss. But again, as I've said all year, the Pats don't have a very high ceiling. So now that we get into playoff times and you're going to be playing against the best of the best, you have to play whatever the top of your ceiling is every week. And you better hope that the team you're playing against doesn't have their A game brought to the table. Because if any of these teams in the playoffs, with the exception of probably Pittsburgh, at least from the AFC perspective, if any of those teams are on their game, they're dangerous and could beat the Pats if the Pats aren't playing at their best. So I got the Pats at number 10 going into the playoffs here. Number 9, the Tennessee Titans. Saw a lot of people having them like 4th. And I get it that they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, but I still don't know that they're that level of good.
Mhm.
I think that they've gotten the benefit of playing really in the AFC South, where you get Jacksonville and Houston as 4 of your games for the season. And even though Indianapolis made a run, they still weren't a playoff team. So Tennessee was able to sneak out 6 pretty easy wins there. Or maybe it was just 5. They might have split with Indy. But what we're going to see now is the potential of Derrick Henry getting back into that lineup, getting some carries here. And I haven't caught the news I know that he's been cleared, and I believe he's rejoined practice, but I'm not 100% sure of what the word of how much he's going to play, whatever the case may be. And granted, they're off this week anyway because they got that first round bye. So I assume that we'll be seeing Derrick Henry next week when they do play. But we got to see what he looks like when he comes back. And I'm not sitting here telling you that, yes, Tennessee is going to have Derrick Henry as full-blown, full-force Derrick Henry. And if he's not, this team has no shot. Ryan Tannehill is not good enough to bring what he's got around him to a Super Bowl without there being the presence of a Derrick Henry running game. Number 8, John, the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't look good towards the end of the year. They started off 10-3, and from there ended up being 11-6. So that would make them 1-5 in their last 6 matchups. So going into the playoffs here, Arizona is going to really struggle as far as if they look the same way that they've looked over the last 6
I'm
weeks.
curious what's that's gonna look like for them. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
I just realized I did my math wrong. 10-3 to 11-6 is 1-3. It's not 1-5. So either way, Arizona, they have to get back to whatever it is that they were doing early in the season.
Yeah.
And I know that without DeAndre Hopkins, that's a huge loss for a young quarterback like Kyler Murray. And this is why I told you all season when I had him at number 3, when they had the best record in the league, you worry about young people when it gets to the really important stuff. Sometimes you get a player like Patrick Mahomes who is just like, it doesn't matter. I'm Patrick bleeping Mahomes. And then sometimes you get a kid that comes out and he doesn't recognize the defense that he's seeing, and he's playing against the best coaches that are giving him the best schemes. And so he is just confused out there. Like anybody that's a young quarterback playing Bill Belichick's defense, not just in the playoffs, but anytime throughout the season, they'll tell you, I don't know what the hell I was looking at out there. I dropped back and the defense did the opposite of what I thought they were doing. So we'll see what that looks like for Arizona coming into the playoffs here. Number 7, I got the Cincinnati Bengals. they might be coming in as one of the hottest teams in the league going into the playoffs. And I know they lost their last game, but they sat Joe Burrow. They sat everybody that really mattered. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Cincinnati really get right back into the form with the week off that they essentially got to have coming in here. And it's going to be fun. But again, this is a second-year quarterback, and I don't know exactly what we're going to get out of him. So Cincinnati remains at number 7. Number 6, John, the Buffalo Bills, who are the best and worst team in football. I don't understand what they've done week by week, but here comes playoff time, and they better be the best team in football every week, or else they're going to be sitting at home very quickly. Number 5, the Los Angeles Rams. They struggled coming into the playoffs now, too. Granted, they've gotten some wins and some bad showings, but Matt Stafford has not looked good over the course of the last few weeks. And as we dive into the playoffs here, luckily for them, their matchup's going to be against Arizona. So it's 2 struggling teams coming in there. So we're going to see. Number 4, John, is your Dallas Cowboys. They don't look like they're struggling coming into the playoffs. I'm just throwing that out there. They look damn good. So we're going to see what they do. I think they have a realistic shot, although I don't think they're as good as these 3 teams I have in front of them. And I'm not saying that at some of these teams' best that they're not better than Dallas, but Dallas has shown me consistently that they are a good football team.
Good looking right there. Good looking right there.
Number 3, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady and the boys. Now, they are going in there hurt. They are missing a lot of pieces going into the playoffs here. But it's Tom Brady and it's the playoffs. We've seen this before. We know what this looks like, and it ends up with Tom Brady holding the Lombardi trophy, and you don't even necessarily know the players that are around him. I know that everybody goes, oh, no, he's always had Gronk. He didn't always have Gronk. He won 3 Super Bowls before Gronk was ever in the NFL.
Yeah.
And back then he was throwing to Troy Brown, Deion Branch, David Patton, Christian Fourier. Like guys that some of these guys, you do not know their names. David Givens is another one. And it's Brady. I'm not worried about him. Number 2, the Green Bay Packers. It does turn out, in fact, that Aaron Rodgers is pissed. He got to smile a little bit while being pissed last week as he got to watch the reason that he's pissed. He got to watch that guy go out there and lose to the Lions. So Aaron Rodgers now comes into the offseason pissed off as ever. I like Green Bay's chances. Number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're better than you, and they're going to get the easiest first-round matchup of anybody of all time, being that they have the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town. John, you ready for me to talk about the picks from last week?
Of course, man. How'd I do? How'd you do? How'd Sparky do?
John, if you'd let me get there, I'd get there. So, John, for how I did last week and for the season, went 11-5 on win-loss, which for the season does put me at 175, 96, and 1. I have to throw out there, since week 14, I've gone 12-2, 12-4, 11-5, 13-3, and 11-5. So, yeah, if I didn't have a couple of these off weeks here in the middle of the season, that would have turned out to be really good. Now, for the spreads, I went 10-6, which for the season puts me at 147, 123, and 2. I want to say it came out to like 54%, so a little bit lower than I'd like to be, but
Golbs, you're making money.
Well, that's not money picks necessarily. That's just every game.
I'm with you. I'm just saying.
Over-unders, which I just taught John before we started recording tonight what those are. He's been listening to me say this for 2 years. I didn't realize he didn't know what I was talking about. I went 7-9 last week, which puts me at 142, 129, and 1 for the season. So we went over 500 across the board. Now for the picks that we gave to the audience and our final standings for the year, John. I went 5-0, which puts me at 47, 42, and 1.
Whoa.
Huge week. One thing I didn't realize, John, when we were doing this last week, you picked all the same teams I did. I didn't even notice.
I did?
You also went 5-0. Yeah. I didn't notice when we actually did it. I noticed it after I started writing it back down after the games had ended. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't notice this. John picked all the same teams. So congrats to you for going 5-0 with me last week. And for the season, John, that puts you at 56, 33, and 1. Holy hell, you would have made so much.
Oh, damn it.
You would have made a killing. I'm telling you, had one of the best not gambling seasons because you didn't gamble, but that would have been one of the top ones I've seen in a while. Now, Sparky the Coin did not pick all the same teams as me and John, and Sparky the Coin, in fact, went 1-4, which for the season put Sparky the Coin at 40, 48-1.
Oh,
So Sparky the Coin does come out clear-cut loser once again. So better luck next year, Sparky.
oh,
Poor
All right,
Sparky.
John. So considering that we don't have picks to give to the audience this week, we're going to sit here and we're going to talk a little bit about each of these games.
Colbs,
John,
real
yes.
quick, let me go through them for our audience here.
I was just going to do them in chronological order of the games.
Here we go. All right. Saturday, chronological order.
You already did
Raiders,
this.
Bengals. What's up?
Oh, that's okay. I thought you were going to say all the games and then which we already did.
No, each one.
Okay. All right. So we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, you already got it written down. Never mind.
Yeah. I know what the games are, John. So we got the Raiders at the Bengals, and the
Camera
Raiders
on you.
the Raiders have come in here the last 2 weeks. They had to beat some really good teams to get in here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Colts, and then obviously that thrilling game at the end of the year with the Chargers, which honestly, if I could just watch that game every week, I'd be totally happy with it. That was an awesome game. But as we move into the playoffs here, they're facing up now against what I believe to be probably the hottest team coming into the playoffs. That is Cincinnati, because they torched defenses the last few weeks of the year, with the exception of when they sat everybody in week 18. So the way this matches up, I mean, I look at this, Derek Carr has, at this point, he's got enough experience in the league that I'm not worried about what he's going to do. And if Josh Jacobs and that running game gets started there in Vegas, that makes them a very dangerous team. Conversely, with Joe Burrow, he doesn't have the experience that Derek Carr does, and he also has a very poor offensive line. And I don't know how well the Raiders pass rush did this year, all in all. I didn't actually look into those kind of stats, but the Cincinnati offensive line has not been good. So if Vegas has a solid to good pass rush, Joe Burrow might be in some real trouble, and you put the kid in trouble early. He better just know to huck it up to Jamar and let Jamar take care of it, because that's been working for him all season. But I'm excited for this matchup. I'm not sure who I'm leaning towards at this point. It is on the line. I believe it was Cincinnati -4.5, and I would lean to take Vegas there just because I think, if anything, I'm still not even sure who I think is going to win the game. So if I'm betting that, I want to pick on the opposite side of where that spread is, because I think it's going to be closer than 4.5 points one way or the other. I know that already going in. So that would be the direction that I would go there.
Colbs, I think you nailed it right in the head, though. I think this is really going to come down to Josh Jacobs. The last 3 games over there for him, he's had some solid performances. His carries went up, of course.
Yeah,
he had a couple 100-yard.
I don't know if he had been hurt earlier in the season or what happened, but he really did come to life in the last few weeks of the year. That had not been existent until recently.
Yeah, he was off and on kind of hurt. His carries were a little bit down. He was splitting the carries there with Kenyon Drake for a little bit. So he wasn't getting as much action the last couple of weeks, because I feel like the Raiders knew it was on the line, so they kept feeding him the ball. He really turned it up. So that's going to be interesting. If they could go ahead and get Jacobs involved and he can have a solid performance, dude, they're going to be tough to beat. But Mixon, he's a good running back on the Bengals side of the ball. So we're going to see what's going on.
He is. And that's another component of this that I think that Cincinnati's going to have to really dive in on, is they're going to have to make sure that they're not just passing the football 50 times, because, again, their offensive line's garbage. Like, that can be overtaken quickly. Now, again, we know that there's the unstoppable force of a Jamar Chase that just sprints down the sideline and you can always get the ball to him. But without the time to get it to him, or for him to run down the field far enough, it's going to mean nothing. So I really do think that this oddly has a lot to do with the run game for both teams.
I think so too. And Mixon's been kind of out of the cards for a little while. As of late, early on, he started off a little bit hot. Mid-season, he was hot. A couple of great games. High carry loads, but lately more targets for receptions, which is cool. but less carries. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Bengals do as far as their MO coming into the game. I'm excited.
All right, John. Next game, we got New England at Buffalo. So with this one, I saw the line on this, by the way, was I believe also Buffalo -4.5. And to me, I want New England all day on that bet because I think that the reason that this bet came in or the line came in where it did is just because New England lost when they tried to win last week. But again, I'm not going to hold that loss at Miami against them because New England has always struggled in Miami at the end of the season. I want to say they've lost like 7 of their last 8 or something like that they played in Miami. So I'm not really going to hold that against New England. And again, Buffalo's erratic. I don't know what I'm getting every week. All I know is the 2 games they just played, because both of those were in the second half of the season. We saw 2 very close games, and I don't think we're going to see anything that's decided by more than about 3, maybe 4 points. So I would lean to take New England on that, although I would say I think Buffalo wins this football game, and I feel relatively definitive on that one at this point.
Hell yeah, man. Dude, I really have nothing to add on to that one.
Okay, I'll keep carrying.
Besides
the load on
this,
that one.
Colbs, besides this, I think okay. Allen, more versatile. If he rushes the ball more than 10 times, I think they're going to stand out because that's something that the Pats can't really do. He adds a different dynamic to the game. Josh Allen does not have to throw any touchdowns. He could throw straight up 5 picks in a game, but the dude will somehow run for 2 touchdowns, and I don't know how it's possible. Last game, not this past one, the week before, he threw for 3 interceptions, and he ran for 2 touchdowns, which led him to the win. Crazy. How can you throw for 3 picks?
Yeah,
and
you're not going to be winning those games against other playoff teams is the thing. You can't have, if he has 3 picks that come Saturday, they are not moving forward. New England will be moving forward.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I don't think Josh Allen's going to have it. I'm just saying. He's done it before, and he's found a way to win.
I do agree with you that the versatility of what he can do in the run game is something that is incredible. It really does add the different element because he doesn't do it from the design package plays like a Lamar Jackson.
Right.
He just says, I don't have a throw to make here that I feel good about, so I'm just taking off and trying to stop me. And he's athletic enough and he's big enough that the one thing with him that worries me, man, I don't know if he's going to even get to play till he's 30, because that dude goes out there and lowers his shoulder like he's trying to run through defenders like he's Mike Allstott. I mean, I just don't understand it. I'm sitting there watching him. I'm like, I get it. He's big, but you can't do that as a quarterback. That's exactly what's going to get you just out of the league in less than 10 years.
Oh, yeah, man.
Third game, Philadelphia at Tampa.
Ooh, I'm curious what you got to say. I'm so curious.
The spread on this one was Tampa -8.5. And
damn, that's kind of big. No?
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing. I am likely to say that I think that Tampa is more likely to cover that than Philly to cover that, but I'm not sure. I do definitely think Tampa wins that football game. But the one thing that Philly can do, and granted, it's going to be difficult for them against Tampa, they have a very vast, different kind of run style game that's hard to defend. But Tampa has one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So it's really going to be a strength on strength matchup. But if Philly can win some of those matchups and keep Tom Brady on the bench, even if Philadelphia only scores 16 points, I really don't see a scenario where they win. I just don't see it. But I could see them putting up 16 and holding Tampa to 23 or 20 just because Tom Brady isn't out there hucking the ball all over the field, because for the most part, you have the ball in your hands and you're just running out. Yeah, exactly. And the more you run the ball, the less yardage you typically take up and the more time comes off the clock. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's how this game went, but I do think that this will be a Tampa victory. And I would lean to say that Tampa's going to be able to stuff the Philly run game for the most part. And it's going to be more so in the range of, I would guess, maybe like a 27-13, maybe somewhere in there.
Fair enough. I'm thinking it might even be a blowout. I'm thinking Tom Brady might have a point to prove, and Eagles might be a little over their head
Tom Brady's always got a point to prove. He's going to be
Yeah.
45 years old next year. Like,
could see-
it's ridiculous.
I can see Tom Brady in the Bucks putting up, over 40 points, and then the Eagles throwing up like 20, and him being like saying something crazy like, "Yeah, that was the toughest opponent we played all year."
I
And
don't.
I could,
I'm going to be honest with you, John. I don't really see much of a scenario where Philly's putting up 20. I just
True.
don't. That's just the way it shapes out to me, because what Philly's good at on offense, Tampa's good at on defense. We're going to move over to game 4, the San Francisco 49ers at John's Dallas Cowboys.
Colbs, what do you got to say?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the line on this was Dallas minus like 3.5 or 4.5. It wasn't
Really?
that much. I would take Dallas there because I understand where they're going with this, which is that San Fran came in pretty hot at the end of the season.
Yeah,
they
they did.
obviously had that big win against the Rams, and that secured their playoff spot. And had they lost that, the one thing everybody needs to keep in mind is they wouldn't have even made the playoffs. It would have been the Saints, and that would have also rivaled Pittsburgh for the worst team in the playoffs. So I was happy that San Fran won that game and got in here, just because I think this is a better game to watch.
Yeah.
But the thing to keep in mind is that for the most part, Dallas is significantly a better football team. They have a more, I shouldn't even say they have a consistent offense, because they really don't. Dallas's offense has been all over the place. I've seen, last week, what did Dak throw, like 5 touchdowns or something like that? And 2 weeks ago, he threw like, it wasn't much at all. And then the week before that, they put up 56 on Washington or whatever. He's been off and on. And honestly, I think at this point, you're seeing more production out of Tony Pollard in the backfield there than you are from Zeke Elliott. So it's kind of been a different look for the Cowboys this year than it has been in years past. But when I look at the two teams matching up here, I trust the Dallas Cowboys that I've seen be good all season way much more than I trust the Niners that just barely made it in here.
Take a look at Cedric Wilson. Sleeper for the game. He's been a favorite target of Dak's.
Yeah.
He might be the deciding factor going into this game here. So I'm excited to see it, dude. Colbs, I'm happy to say I wasn't originally going to be able to watch this game because of work, but now I'm out right at game time. So Sirius XM, shout out to you. Colbs knows how much I love listening to games. I listen to more than I do watch. It adds a different element. Colbs, I know you can attest to it, man. It's fun.
It's great.
It is fun.
Game 5, we don't have to spend too much time here. It's Pittsburgh at Kansas City, and it's Kansas City minus 12.5. The only reason that Kansas City might not cover that is, again, if Najee Harris runs all over the Chiefs defense to the extent where Mahomes is on the bench. That's really the only way that Pittsburgh keeps this thing even relatively close. As far as who's the better team, it's Kansas City, and it is by a mile.
What's the spread again?
12.5.
Holy crap, that's big.
It is,
Oh.
but Kansas City is more than 12 points better than them. It's really just a matter of if Pittsburgh's run game can just keep them on the field long enough to keep Patrick Mahomes off it. There is not a shot in hell if they try to do anything in turn. Well, Ben Roethlisberger can't even play a shootout, so they're going to be running the ball one way or another, because Ben Roethlisberger doesn't throw the ball more than about 12 yards downfield on any given throw anymore. But Kansas City,
old Big Ben, if it was the young Big Ben.
Yeah, the young
Maybe.
Big Ben could throw the ball 65, 70 yards in the air, no problem. It was nothing for him. But yeah, this Big Ben cannot do that. I'd be shocked if he could still throw at 50.
We'll see. We'll see, man. I'm
John,
curious.
the final game, Arizona at the Rams.
Uh-oh.
This
is going to be a
one-
battle.
This one, I think, was the Rams minus 3.5 or 4. And a lot of
Jeez.
that comes in from Arizona's struggles at the end of the season. But with LA also struggling coming to the end of the season and going into the playoffs here, I kind of feel like I lean Arizona on the spread, although I've got the Rams winning the game, just because both these teams don't look good right now. They're both like crawling into the playoffs. And granted, I know I got both of them in my top 10 on the power rankings. It's because throughout the course of the year, they've both shown me. But your big key to this game is what variety of Matt Stafford do you get? Do you get the guy that's been coming out there finding Cooper Kupp 1 million times for 1.5 million yards and them putting up a significant offense in the passing game, or do you see the Matt Stafford that's going to come out here? I almost just made him a Matt Roethlisberger. Matt Stafford come
Kinda
out
like
here and
that.
throw three
Like a
picks
Matt
in the first
Hasselbeck
half.
remix.
I just don't know what variety of damn it, I keep trying to go back to Roethlisberger. What variety of Matt Stafford? I almost just made a Matt Ryan. Oh my
Oh my
god.
Colbs, what
that
else
guy
do we
that's
got to talk
quarterback for
about
the
tonight,
Rams.
homie? What else do we got to talk about? Jacked and canned, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think that's gonna about do it there. Rate, subscribe, review. As always, check us out here both on YouTube as well as our podcast format. I'm gonna go lay down in bed and hopefully get some sleep. I feel like absolute shit. John, this is no, you got something.
Ladies
Okay.
and gents, Colbs is going to relax. He's going to kick back and he's going to watch his favorite Nicolas Cage movies. Okay, so we
I hate
encourage you.
Nicolas Cage. I loved him in Gone in 60 Seconds. I hate every other movie he's been in.
Guess who else is going?